Rahul Gandhi's recent trip to the United States was met with a predictable storm of controversy back home in India. The visit, intended to engage with the Indian diaspora and address key issues facing the nation, became a lightning rod for criticism, particularly from certain sections of the Indian media. These outlets seized upon select statements, often stripped of context, to paint a misleading picture of Gandhi's message and intentions. This deliberate distortion of his words raises critical questions about the state of media freedom and objectivity in India today. Gandhi's visit was framed around a series of lectures and interactions at prominent American universities and think tanks. He engaged with students, academics, and members of the Indian diaspora, discussing a range of topics from India's democratic institutions to its economic challenges. However, the nuanced discussions, often critical of the current government's policies, were quickly reduced to sensational headlines and soundbites. This selective reporting, aimed at discrediting Gandhi and his message, underscores the importance of discerning fact from fiction in the age of information overload. The controversy surrounding Gandhi's trip highlights the growing polarization within Indian society and the media's role in fueling this divide. It underscores the urgent need for responsible journalism that prioritizes truth and accuracy over sensationalism and political agendas. The stakes are high, as a misinformed public is vulnerable to manipulation and susceptible to making decisions based on incomplete or distorted information. This essay seeks to delve into the key themes addressed by Rahul Gandhi during his US trip, separating fact from the media's often misleading narrative. By examining his actual words and placing them within their intended context, we can better understand his message and assess the validity of the criticisms leveled against him. A recurring theme in Rahul Gandhi's US engagements was the importance of robust democratic institutions. He emphasized the vital role of independent institutions in upholding the principles of democracy, ensuring accountability, and protecting the rights of all citizens. Gandhi argued that a healthy democracy relies on a system of checks and balances, where institutions operate freely from undue influence or pressure. He expressed concern over what he perceived as a weakening of these institutions in India, citing instances where their independence and autonomy appeared to be compromised. Gandhi pointed to the increasing pressure on the judiciary, the erosion of autonomy in institutions like the Election Commission, and attempts to stifle dissent as worrying trends. He argued that these developments posed a threat to the very fabric of Indian democracy, potentially undermining its long-term health and stability. Gandhi's concerns resonate with those of many observers who have noted a disturbing trend of democratic backsliding in several parts of the world, including India. The rise of majoritarianism, the shrinking space for dissent, and the increasing pressure on institutions are all signs of a democracy under strain. Gandhi's message serves as a timely reminder that the preservation of democracy requires constant vigilance and a commitment to upholding the values of pluralism, tolerance, and respect for institutions. His call for strengthening democratic institutions is not an attack on India, but a call to action for all stakeholders to safeguard the principles upon which the nation was founded. It is a plea to recognize the fragility of democracy and the need to actively protect it from forces that seek to undermine it from within. Rahul Gandhi's US trip was marked by his vocal concerns about the state of press freedom in India. He argued that a free and independent media is the cornerstone of a thriving democracy, acting as a crucial watchdog and holding those in power accountable. Gandhi expressed alarm at what he perceived as a shrinking space for dissent and criticism in India, particularly within the media landscape. He pointed to instances of journalists facing intimidation, harassment, and even violence for their critical reporting. Gandhi also highlighted the growing trend of media houses aligning themselves with the government, leading to a decline in critical journalism and investigative reporting. He argued that this trend of self-censorship and the suppression of dissenting voices posed a serious threat to the health of Indian democracy. Gandhi's concerns about press freedom in India are shared by international organizations like Reporters Without Borders, which has documented a consistent decline in India's ranking in the World Press Freedom Index in recent years. The increasing use of legal tools, such as sedition laws, to silence critical voices, coupled with the online harassment and intimidation of journalists, has created a climate of fear and self-censorship. The erosion of press freedom has far-reaching consequences for Indian democracy. Without a free and independent media, holding power accountable becomes increasingly difficult. The free flow of information is stifled, and citizens are deprived of the diverse perspectives necessary to make informed decisions. Gandhi's message serves as a reminder of the critical role of a free press in a democracy and the need to protect journalists and their right to report freely and without fear. Section 4. The Spectre of Polarization. Gandhi's call for unity and secularism. During his interactions in the United States, Rahul Gandhi repeatedly voiced concerns over the rise of religious polarization in India. He argued that India's strength lay in its diversity and its tradition of unity in diversity. Gandhi warned against the dangers of divisive politics that exploit religious sentiments for political gain, emphasizing that such tactics undermine social harmony and threaten the very fabric of the nation. He called for a return to the values of secularism and inclusivity enshrined in the Indian Constitution, emphasizing that India belongs to people of all faiths and none. Gandhi stressed the need for dialogue and understanding between different communities, urging leaders to refrain from inflammatory rhetoric and to instead focus on building bridges of understanding and respect. Gandhi's concerns about religious polarization resonate deeply in a country that has witnessed a surge in communal tensions and violence in recent years. The rise of hate speech, both online and offline, and the targeting of religious minorities have created an atmosphere of fear and insecurity. This polarization not only undermines social harmony, but also diverts attention from pressing issues like poverty, unemployment, and inequality. Gandhi's message serves as a timely reminder of the importance of preserving India's secular fabric and celebrating its diversity. He calls for a united India, where people of all faiths and backgrounds can live together in peace and harmony, a vision that is essential for India's progress and prosperity. Section 5. Economic disparity, highlighting inequality and its consequences. Rahul Gandhi dedicated a significant portion of his US visit to addressing India's economic challenges. He expressed concern over the widening gap between the rich and the poor, arguing that the current economic policies were exacerbating inequality and failing to create sufficient opportunities for all Indians. Gandhi criticized the government's focus on big businesses and its perceived neglect of the informal sector and rural economies. He advocated for policies that prioritize job creation, particularly for India's youth, and ensure equitable distribution of wealth. Gandhi highlighted the plight of farmers, small businesses, and marginalized communities, arguing that their voices were not being adequately represented in the current economic discourse. He called for a more inclusive approach to development, one that prioritizes the needs of all Indians, not just a select few. Gandhi's critique of the government's economic policies comes at a time when India is grappling with rising unemployment, particularly among youth, and growing economic disparities. While India has made significant strides in reducing poverty in recent decades, the benefits of this growth have not been evenly distributed, leading to concerns about social unrest and instability. His emphasis on inclusive growth and his focus on the needs of the most vulnerable sections of society resonated with many who feel left behind by India's economic progress. Gandhi's message serves as a reminder that true economic development must benefit all citizens, not just a privileged few.